The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, kinda power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi everyone, I am Macca 19 and this is the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast, live once again on Port Fan Radio. And back on the podcast this week is my fellow co-host, Fishing Rick. How are you, buddy?
I'm back. I am back. After I had a very tough meeting on Monday night, Macca, but I am back in the chair.
The chair.
Did you see my meeting on Facebook?
I did not.
It was a pretty tough meeting I had. I had to do a super enduro go-kart race, bit of male bonding.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
And I won. But
you won.
What about this? Move over the Kane Cornes fiasco. Well, not fiasco, the tribute. And move over our injuries. And move over the fixed stream talk. Our guest and yourself, I have massive news. And
okay.
I mean, I am talking massive. I gave a little clue on Big Footy about an hour ago.
I'm scared right now.
There is something new in the neighbourhood. Do you know what it is?
Well, how about we bring in our guest first?
Yes.
And then you can tell us your news.
Okay.
All right. Well, look, for the first time in 2015, we are speaking with fellow moderator Forzaport.
Hi, boys. Thanks for having me on again. Happy to be here. I'm now curious about what Rick's news is.
This is scary. This is very scary.
It's awesome. I'm captivated by the fact that in Littlehampton, the town in the Adelaide Hills, the fresh produce capital of the world Adelaide is, they have created bacon jam.
Whoa. Bacon jam's been around for a long time, Rick.
Bullshit.
Yes.
Get out of it.
We've made it at our restaurant lots.
Ah, rubbish. You're telling lies. It's new. Well, it's new to me anyway. Good on you, Macca. You're just a bloody killjoy, aren't you?
Oh, that's brilliant.
Well, that's brilliant. It's the first time mass released.
Oh, that's exciting.
Purchasing consumption. Who would go out and eat bacon jam?
So what's the brand?
Bacon jam.
Bacon jam is the brand.
If we bring up the website, thanks to Erin who works in the New Vision office, she highlighted this to me today. It's baconjam.com.au, and I don't own
there you go
any part of this business whatsoever. So postage and delivery start from $5 to Metro Adelaide. Bacon jam is produced and packaged from SA products in the beautiful Littlehampton Adelaide Hills. I reckon Forza would give it a go.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of it.
I love a bit of bacon jam.
Really?
It's great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you eat bacon jam with?
Anything, mate. Eggs on toast, meat. It's good with roast meat. Very nice. Yeah.
So it's almost like a bit of a jelly.
Or you could blend some bacon jam and chili jam together and create the best thing on earth.
That would be
called bacon chili jam.
That would be friggin' awesome.
It would.
That would be.
Anyway, and that's the Fresh Produce podcast, everyone. Thank you for joining in, and we will speak to you next week. Goodbye.
Yeah. Anyway, derailed us for long enough. But
that's it.
I thought it was great. I'll mute myself now.
You've done well. You've done well, Rick. I look forward to your discovery next week of electricity or water. That's great.
I was thinking about designing this funny thing called the monetary system. I wonder how that would work.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, look, later on, let's get back into it. Later on, we're going to have our next Who Am I question, which has seemingly stumped everyone at the moment. So we'll look forward to that. We'll also reveal who will be joining Rick and myself in the RAA lounge for the Richmond game, which, we must say, has just become a hell of a lot more important.
Absolutely. If it wasn't already important, with our season on the line and big Kano going out, are we going to talk about Kane now?
Of course, yep. But I must say first, you weren't too happy when I chose the Richmond game as the game to pick for this. You were like, Richmond? Why would you want to go and watch Richmond? But I got to say, we've picked a good one. This is going to be a good one.
Well, I was just thinking, you had free choice of the game. You had Collingwood on Friday night, Geelong on a Thursday night, or vice versa. Hawthorn, free. Well, actually, I haven't given out the Freo ones yet. So there was plenty of great games there, and you went Richmond on a Sunday afternoon.
Good choice, mate.
And I hope you're having a designated driver for that game, Macca, considering there's free booze.
We'll see what happens.
Otherwise, it could be a bit of a waste.
I might be walking back to Pirrie. You never know.
Maybe one of the winners has to put you up for the night.
That's it. That's it. Well, we will reveal who has won those 2 tickets later on. But look, let's go on to the biggest news this week, which obviously is Kane Cornes, our most capped player at AFL level. He's going to retire next weekend after his 300th game to join the Metropolitan Fire Service. And we want everyone to send in their tweets to hashtag PortFanRadio so we can hear your favourite Kane Cornes moments. But look, let's go through his career briefly. He debuted in round 10, 2001. He will have played 300 games. He's currently kicked 92 goals. He's won 4 best and fairest medals in 2007, 2008, 2010 and 2012. 2-time All-Australian in 2005 and 2007. He won a premiership medal in 2004. And you've got to say, very unlucky not to win a Norm Smith medal for his job on Simon Black that day as well. He's our AFL Club Games record holder. He'll end up 5th in the all-time Port Adelaide Footy Club games behind Ebert, Darren Smith, Ginniver and Phillips. Massive names there. 2 pre-season cups, 12th on the all-time disposals list in the AFL. It's some sort of career that Kane Cornes has had.
Oh yeah, it's really been phenomenal. He's been in the AFL team most of my adult life, so it's a bit weird. It's going to be weird having that constant person in the team that's not going to be there after the Richmond game. So it's a bit sad, to be honest. Very sad.
Yeah, well, all good things come to an end, and I was a bit disturbed yesterday, Macca, and I thought you were a little bit upset and disappointed by the announcement.
Yep, this is true. And look, I'm not going to pretend that I'm 100% happy because I'm not. He's had a fantastic career and, he's well within his rights to do as he wants. And if this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to join the Fireys, then, good on him. It's a great thing to do. But it's not like we're talking about Colin Sylvia or, Beau Waters or Tim Sumner. He hasn't gone off the rails. He isn't permanently injured or struggling to get a kick in the seconds. In 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's been well in our best players, and he's beat all his records in the pre-season. And for me, he's a very important member of our first 18. And so, on that regard, it's disappointing for us to lose a key player just when we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the season. But look, if anyone's earned the right to go out on their terms, then it really is Kane Cornes, and given all the selfless service he's given to our footy club.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can't begrudge him wanting to go out on his own terms. But to be honest, I never really appreciated how the MFS enrollment system actually worked and how limited positions are to become a fireman. I never knew that. You have so many applications and so few positions. What was the numbers? 1,500 applications and 11 positions.
Yeah.
This time round, and then possibly nothing for the next couple of years. So it's. When you talk in that sort of situation, there's not much choice, which is, it is disappointing because, as you said, Macca, I reckon he's certainly a best 22 player for sure, and definitely, probably best 18 in reality. I reckon he definitely would have been handy in finals time, despite what he said in his interview. I reckon he would have been a valuable player for sure.
No doubt. I guess the thing for me is that I don't think we've got a ready-made replacement for a tagger or a run-with player in the side. And look, a lot of people on our forum think that we don't actually need one, which is probably a fair call as well. Other teams run perfectly fine without a designated tagger, but I don't know. We're losing a player that is capable of picking up massive amounts of the ball, can shut down any player in the league. It's going to be a very tough position to replace.
Oh, there is
of course.
Really?
Of course it is. but got to give him, as Forza said, you didn't really realise, but I mean, there's a lot of perks that go with being a fireman, and it is a tough job to get. So it's not like he's quitting to be a car salesman or an assistant coach, which are like sort of dime a dozen jobs these days. He's actually getting something which is pretty rare and selective to actually get into. So I can't begrudge him of his decision, and some people are arguing that they thought that he maybe was dropping down the pecking order, and there may not have been those guarantees. And so if that's the case, he has to make that sort of ruthless decision for his own career, because you're a long time retired from AFL football. So I think we should all embrace it. And I think some of the opinions on the decision, I don't know if it's just media journalists being controversial for the sake of it, or if that's what they honestly believe, and some of the supporters even as well. But I guess he's been a polarising figure for a lot of the game, whether people think he's been getting the cheap stats or not, but which I don't think. And now in his retirement, he's still being a polarising figure. But I just think when you look at the accolades that you read out, Macca, he's one of the greats of the AFL era and of the Port Adelaide Football Club in general. What he's done is magnificent, and we should all respect him as a player and a soon-to-be former player, and wish him well on his new journey. And if one of the other young boys that are in that 21 to 23 range that have been earning their stripes can't step up now, are they ever going to be able to step up? That is the million-dollar question.
That's it. Look, we've had a few tweets come in, so I want to read a couple out to begin with. Nicholas Tills tweeted in and said the 1870 steakhouse at the club had a burger a week ago with bacon jam, pulled pork and bacon on it, and it was delicious. That sounds incredible. I think Nick's lying, but anyway.
That's
it. Alex Hale has said bacon chili jam, yum. Let's watch Knifeman and get smashed. That sounds like a big plan there. Bevan has said good pick, Macca. Get to see Chappie and also Kano's last game. And a couple of favourite Kane Cornes moment. We've had Matt Sullivan tweet in his favourite Cornes moment, which was his 250th game against West Coast in 2013, which started this refreshed Port Adelaide journey. And also Nicholas Tills also tweeted in saying the 2004 grand final, he and the boys finally got what they deserved. So lads, what are your favourite Kane Cornes memories?
Oh, geez. I think I do have to agree with Matt Sullivan there, because Chad Wingard put a photo on Instagram earlier today about that game, and it's kind of fitting that Kane ended up with the ball in his hands at this final siren on his 250th. That's, you can't script that sort of stuff, but when it happens, it's just fantastic to see. Personally, though, my favourite game of Kane's undoubtedly has to be his job in the grand final 2004. Simon Black, if people remember how good Simon Black was, he was just a phenomenal midfielder. And I think the year before, in the grand final against Collingwood, he had absolutely smashed them and got something like, what was it? That
40
high 30s
touches and the Norman Smith.
Yeah, and for Kane to effectively silence him in a grand final was just massive. So yeah, that's my favourite for sure.
That's a good pick too, and I wrote today that I'm pretty sure Lee Matthews rated Simon Black the best Brisbane player out of all the players. So, I mean, and he owned Black not only in that game but in most of the games. So that's how much of an achievement it was. I can't actually remember the year, but it was. I reckon it was in the mid or later in the 2000s when we seemed to be playing Hawthorn and Tassie all the time. And there was one of those Tassie games where he just absolutely mauled and towed up Sam Mitchell, who's another one of those Simon Black ball accumulators and such an influential player that's the one that sort of stands out for me. Shame I can't remember what year it is, but I don't have the football memory that you boys do.
Did he kick 3 goals in that game? Was that the game where he got 3 goals?
I think so. And he just killed Sam Mitchell, and then he sort of just like Black. He's just annihilated Mitchell for most of his career as well. So I bet you Mitchell's going to be glad that Kane's retired. And if anyone knows the game I'm talking about, tweet it in and remind.
2007 round 20, I think Rick.
You reckon that's the one?
Yeah, 2007 round 20 York Park. That would be the one.
Yeah, well, that sounds pretty close to me. It probably would have been around that time, but what a legend. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, no, that's a good call, Rick. He got 38 touches and 3 goals that day, which is which is pretty phenomenal, and kept Mitchell to just the 19 touches. Look, for me, probably my favourite is Birdgate, when he gave the finger to the Collingwood team in 2002 after we had that last moment victory when Anthony Rocca had the chance to tie the game in the last seconds and missed a shot from 30 metres dead in front. And look, it was a pretty spiteful game, and there was an all-in brawl at half-time, and Kane instigated an all-in brawl after the game as well. And that was when he was a young, brash, probably 20-year-old kid, and who knew that he'd become this super footballer. And look, I think as a supporter base, we've tended to underrate his influence fairly often. I think it was definitely a period where he was quite maligned for a while from our own supporters, and I think the influence that Kane has had at Port Adelaide's been pretty massive. And he was one of, if not the key instigator in revolutionising the art of tagging, and I think that's something that people often forget. You look at the taggers through the late 90s and maybe the early 2000s as well, before Kane made a name for himself, and it's guys like Tony Liberatore and Anthony Franchina and Alistair Clarkson, Mick Gaffer, these sort of guys who were really negative players and had no real desire to win a lot of the ball themselves. And along comes Kane Cornes, and suddenly taggers are expected to not only shut out their opponent but also get 25 touches themselves, which is super difficult. And obviously this is where Kane's superior fitness came to the fore, and his ability to always be on his opponent's back when they had the ball, and then to run off and create, and his ability to find so much space to win his own footy as well when we had it, was something pretty special and quite unique in the AFL, I reckon. And whether he was tagging super quick guys like Andrew McLeod or Stephen Hill, or some of the tougher inside mids, as we've already spoken about, Sam Mitchell and Simon Black, and he always seemed to do a number on Cameron Bruce as well. He was a favourite of his, and or guys that were pretty smooth movers like Dan Hanbury and Scott Pendlebury. He always just seemed to always beat his opponent and pick up heaps of the ball himself, and he's going to be sorely missed.
Well,
that's my rant for the day.
In that controversial period under Primus, where a lot of criticism came to him about being sort of that seagull type player instead of the tagger. I think that highlighted to me as well, though, with Kane, he was the ultimate role player, where he seemed to thrive on the coach just telling him, this is what I want you to do, and he would do it. And that's how I found Kane anyway as a player. He seemed to be perfect to give a job and he'll get it done, hence the reason he was such a great tagger.
And that's it. And he always performed on the biggest games as well. He loved showdowns. He loved finals. As we said, he almost won a Norman Smith in 2004 for his job on Simon Black. He was great in 2007 grand final when not many others bothered to turn up. And of course, in the last couple of years, he's had some brilliant finals against Collingwood and Freo as well.
It really goes to show his character. For his 2011 to end the way it did, being dropped and Primus trying to boot him out, and probably the only thing that really saved him would have to be his contract. I think he still had 2 years left in his contract at that point.
Yeah.
And the club didn't really want to, pay him when he was paying for someone else. So that probably kept him at the club. And then 2012, he becomes club champion. So, what does that tell you about the guy's character and his application? It's just, it's going to go down as one of the hardest working and dedicated players that we've had, really.
Yeah,
I think it's also a bit of credit needs to go to Keith Thomas there too, because he really took a stand in Kane's career at the club, didn't he? And he really fought for Kane to be kept, and just thought it was a bit embarrassing. Well, that's how I thought he played it out anyway, that how Kane was being treated, and really straightened out or corrected any wrongs that were being done, and all credit to Keith Thomas for doing that.
Yeah, and of course the famous comment that Kane's brought up, that Kenny said, I want to lengthen your career, not finish it. So, they all had a part to play, and look, I think there's certainly a case that Kane had a bit of a fresh lease on life in the last couple of years, and that's why I guess I'm so disappointed that he's calling it quits now. And obviously, it's a once in a lifetime chance to join the Fireys, but I still think he had a lot to give this year and would have played a huge part in the finals.
So, all right, the topical question is, who is going to be his replacement?
As a tagger, I'm going to say Archie, just because he's got the height, he's got the pace, he's got great inside ability, he can tackle really hard, he can run with anyone, really fit. I think he's going to be a pretty good tagger. Right.
I'm not sure we're going to go with a tagger, to be honest. I think Kane going out of the team will give the likes of Moore, Colquhoun, Amon, Archie, Young, all those sort of guys more opportunity, for sure. But I think Schulzenfest is the one that posted this, Brad Ebert being the run with player moving forward, and I can really see that happening.
Yeah, I can see that.
Brad having
That's a good call.
A player to mind, and I think that is a good call. Because otherwise, we don't really have that many defensive-minded midfielders at the moment. Like, a player would really have to step up into that role that we're not really expecting for us to see it. If that's Jonas moving into the midfield, or Moore proving that he actually can, run with a player better than he has in the past. Who knows? But a player like Kane, you're just not going to have that sort of clamping ability, at least not straight away. It's going to have to be someone that comes out of nowhere for that sort of skill to be part of our 22 moving forward. So,
what I like about the Ebert suggestion of Forza is his line running ability as well. So he should be able to get ball and still punish the opposition when we've got possession.
Oh, he's a big tank. He's a great tackler. He can run with other players, and he's a goal-kicking midfielder as well. So he's pretty much, if there's going to be one player in our current midfield that can run with a player that's not Kane Cornes, it would probably be Brad.
It wouldn't surprise me if we have to have a couple of players to maybe potentially play that role. I guess if you look at the endurance runners, you'd have to think maybe Sammy Colquhoun or Mitchell or Tom Cleary might get a bit of training and potentially a gig for that sort of role. I'm not sure if Brendan's the right choice as a tagger. I don't know if he's got the footy smarts yet to do it, but there's only one way to find out, isn't it? And that's to give these guys an opportunity now and see what they can show, and hopefully one of them will take their moment.
Look, let's move on and talk about the game this weekend. It's round 7. We play Brisbane at the Gabba on Sunday twilight. Yet another Sunday twilight game. Our win-loss record is 13-14 and 2 draws. So it would be good to even out the ledger this weekend. Obviously, last time we met was the 113-point win at Adelaide Oval last year, which I'm sure all of us remember very well.
Yeah, we're all sitting together that game.
Yes, that's right.
That was
yes, we were. It was, and didn't we coincidentally win the big footy locker room tickets for the Richmond game as well by coincidence?
We did. We've commandeered them. Apologies to whoever was allocated them. Stiff shit, basically. So, now, look, it should be a pretty interesting game this week. Obviously, we need to bounce back. Brisbane had a very good win on the weekend against Carlton, even though their opponent wasn't all that flash. But, it was good to see them get a win on the board. And, look, they've got a very dangerous midfield. That's probably the part that worries me the most this week.
They do, and it's getting more dangerous by the week now that Rockcliffe is back and is finding some form. And I don't know about Aish, I don't think he's going to offer much, but now that Christensen and Beams are now starting to gel a bit, you can see they're starting to get their act together a bit. So it will make for some interesting contests, that's for sure.
Yeah. Beams has had a pretty good year. I mean, he's leading their clearances, he's leading their disposals, he's kicked 3 goals. He's had a good year. Jack Redden's a super player. Rockcliffe, now that he's over getting injured every week, for the start of the season. He's going to be very difficult to match up on. And then they've got these sort of quick, small runners like Christensen and Zorko and Rich as well, Lewis Taylor. They've got a lot of pace and a lot of skill running through their midfield. It just seems to break down for them when it goes up forward.
Yeah, they don't have much experience up there. But also, just before we move on from the midfield, Stefan Martin's been quite potent this year. Just looking up his numbers, he's probably been one of their best midfielders, even though he's a ruckman. And so he's added another dimension this year for them. He's had quite a season. And now that Louis is back, they actually have a ruck division.
Yeah, he's been a revelation, Stefan Martin, and since he came back into the side in round 12 last year, he's been an absolute revelation for them, and not just for my dream team either. He's been a bloody good player, and he adds something a little bit different to their lineup because he's probably not really ruckman height, but he's got a pretty good leap on him, and he's strong, and he just seems to win the hit-outs, and he's obviously super good around the ground, and matching that with the very tall Leuenberger, who's a very good tap ruckman, but probably not that great around the ground. I think they've got a pretty good ruck division.
Yeah, they certainly do. And with Stefan Martin, it's kind of funny because you always knew he had that in him, especially from his Melbourne days. You could see that there was definitely something there. And I think Port made a play for him when Jamar fell through, but he ended up going to Brisbane. But with Louis back in the team, and they actually have a very tall forward line as well. It is going to stretch us a bit in defence, I reckon.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially with Bobby Carlisle out, we might as well name the teams now. Bobby Carlisle's out with a back injury. Aaron Young's been omitted, which is disappointing for him, I guess. After he got his chance, obviously we've named 5 players at the moment: Impey, Need, Cam O'Shea, Carl Amon, and Cahoon as well. Impey's named on the field, so it looks like he'll definitely be getting a game, which is fantastic for him. I guess the other question is, who do we see replacing, Aaron Young in the team?
I don't reckon it'll be Sammy. From the reports I've read from the Magpie followers, he doesn't seem to be ready yet. You'd think with Bobby out, maybe Cam O'Shea might be the choice of selection. And going on the game and the stats, boys, I actually went through the AFL website and picked out all the key stats, and I've decided I don't want to talk about them because we actually shit, and Brisbane's just actually shittier than us, so it doesn't set the world on fire. So hopefully we can start pushing up the statistical rankings in contested possession, marks, clearances, stoppages, rebounds, 1%ers pretty soon, because we're very mediocre at this point in time.
No, that's right. And look, as you mentioned, Forza, they do have a very tall forward line. They've got Leuenberger up forward, and he's probably a little bit too immobile, and you would think Trengove would get him. They've got Daniel McStay, who kicked 4 goals last week in a bit of a breakout performance. That was a good game by him. He's only a very young kid. And they've also got Harris Andrews, who's also another 200-centimetre giant up there as well. So they've got some pretty tall timber up there, and of course Martin can play up there, Darcy Gardner can play up there, Paparone can play up there as well. So they've got some options. Yeah,
they do, but they're not really potent at the moment. And I think Carlton probably made them look a lot better than what they really are. McStay's been kicking 1 goal a game up until last week when he got 4 against Carlton. So I'm not sure how much you really want to take out of that result. But yeah, I reckon O'Shea will probably come in as a direct replacement for Carlisle. That way, Homsch, Jonas, and Trengove become our 3 keys, and then O'Shea, Pittard, and probably Impey, I imagine. Impey would take the who's that guy's name? Green? Is that his name? Yeah. Kicks all the goals, little guy. Probably take Green, and then we have Broadbent as the 7th defence, and I reckon we'll be relatively happy with that. Not really worried about our height, to be honest. Last year we lost Carlisle and Trengove, so we lost 2 keys. But we didn't have Ryder. This year we got the extra tall in Ryder, so I don't think we're going to be in too much trouble height-wise.
No.
Do you guys think that Broady needs to lift?
Yep. He's been relatively disappointing this year, especially given his rating in the across the AFL and through the media. And he had such a great year last year. He has dropped back a bit. I'm not sure if it's his role that he's playing is a little bit different. And obviously we're looking for Pittard more, running out of defence this year, as opposed to looking at Brody. But he definitely needs to lift. Absolutely, he does.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are more aware of what he can do these days, so he's being checked a bit tighter. And also, Pittard's form to start the year has just, it's so phenomenal. It's really probably making Brody look a bit quieter as well, which doesn't help.
I don't want to talk about Jasper, boys. I was actually hurt on Tuesday night. Made me sad. I was sitting next to him at the table and introduced myself, and I said, I'm sure you've heard about me. And he was like, "Nah, who are you?" I'm just another number. The pain, it just dagger through the heart. So cold. But I won him over by the end.
No doubt.
We'll have him on, hopefully, during the year.
Hope so. That'd be great. That would be a great podcast.
It will.
The Pitcast.
The Pit Dog. And he has had a great year, and I really want Broadbent, because Broady started off, I thought, all right. The first couple of games, he was sort of like, I was calling him the new Batman and Robin, but in the last 3 weeks, the output's really dropped off, and I think we need Broadbent to stand up, and maybe that's part of our problem. He's not getting as many rebounds out of the defensive 50, and we need his elite kicking skills in delivering the ball outside 50.
Yeah. I mean, he's still playing as that loose man, but he's just not really getting anywhere near the ball. And he's just not providing us with the rebound that he was in the last couple of years. And well, I'm going to go against the grain and say that Cam O'Shea won't come in. I'm going to say it'll be between Amon and Need, I reckon. And hopefully Carl Amon for his first game.
It'll be good to see Amon get rewarded for his fantastic SANFL form. He's really he's playing now like a player that is too good for SANFL.
Yeah,
good to see.
Yeah, he's certainly knocking down the door of selection.
Is he really doing enough?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. Were you surprised Andrew Moore wasn't rushed in?
Not really. He hasn't played a game for a month, so
He would have been training.
no.
No,
Yeah, but it's a bit different to and it's not like he was in fantastic form earlier. So I think 1 or 2 games in the SANFL, and then look to bring him in if his form deserves it.
I have to admit, I'm a bit surprised. If we're dropping Young, we should have a bigger body mid in there, and hopefully Archie will get a full game. But if not, a mature body like Moore would be all right. And in that game where he got suspended, he actually was bloody good. He would have been caught up to AFL, I reckon. With Wines going out injured, he would have been given AFL time if he wasn't sitting out after 3 weeks. And I guess with Hinkley, he's not afraid to bring a player straight into AFL. We've seen that numerous times. Sometimes it's not the best decisions to make, but I'm a bit surprised Moore didn't at least get into the 25. So it's clear that they want him to run around a bit first and earn his way up.
Yeah. Well, look, does this game concern you guys at all? I mean, we were probably a little bit aloof on the podcast last preview for the West Coast game and didn't really sort of give them much of a chance. But, I mean, Brisbane have had a pretty poor start to the year. They struggle to kick goals. I mean, they struggle in defensively as well. I mean, are we concerned that we might be a little bit... I don't know, if we might be mentally not quite right at the moment for this one?
I am. I'm very concerned. Travelling away, our midfield's probably the part that's not performing the best at all. And as you guys pointed out, they've got great small players. That's probably their strength. So if our midfield doesn't switch on, this could be a bit of a danger game, especially with one of our leaders, Bobby, not playing.
Yeah.
And can I just say that I've met Bobby a couple of times now over the last week and had a bit of a chat to him, and he is a great guy to talk to. So any Port fans that see him at a function, make sure you go out of your way to say g'day to him, because he doesn't mind saying g'day to the fans, and he's a great guy to have a chat to, and he's a great mate of Jacko's, and he loves hanging a few jokes on Jacko, so it's very entertaining.
So what you're saying, Rick, is if we see him at West Lakes, we can actually speak to him.
Yes, unlike our former player, Chaplin, the legend, Bobby will probably say, "G'day, how you going?"
But look, let's not blow our load about Troy Chappie in Richmond too early.
Yes.
We'll leave that for next week.
True.
Who's going to win us the game this week?
Who's going to win it for us?
Yep.
Oh, I think I'm going to go Westhoff. He's due.
Westy.
Yeah, he's been copping a lot. He's been quiet. He's sort of, doing a bit of the whole chook without a head thing that he did in his second year of AFL. I haven't seen it from him for a number of years, but I reckon he's just busting to get out there and have a ripper game, and I reckon this will be it.
I hope so. He'll probably be playing on Paparone, who's quite a talented young player as well, and very similar to Westhoff. So I think he'll get a pretty good run there.
T-Boke, we need the captain to stand up and deliver and control our midfield like the general that he is.
That's it. I'm going to say Hammer. I'm going to pick Hammer to kick 4 this week.
Nice.
Mind you, I picked Paddy Ryder to kick 6 last week and he got about 4 kicks. So do not listen to me.
Hammer is one of those players where, I don't know, I do agree. I feel like I want more from him. He does enough, but I think he could do more. I don't know what it is, but yeah. Does that make sense?
He's got a higher gap for sure.
Yeah. Look, Alex Hale has tweeted in and said Archie to play a full game and Amon to come in for Young, O'Shea to replace Bobby.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of Brendan, and I would love to see Brendan get a full game. I think he deserves a full game.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's biased. I think he's shown enough in the games he's been as sub to at least have an opportunity. And I know you guys probably spoke about it on Monday, but geez, that handball was pretty bloody good, wasn't it?
It was very good. It was a monster handball. Haven't seen one like that for a very long time. Look, predictions, boys.
Forza?
You go, Rick.
I'm going to go Brisbane by 4 goals.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Are you trying to pull the Macca here? Is this what
I
you're
don't know what
trying
I'm
to do?
trying. I've got to try and do something different.
This only works when I do it, mate.
Does it? Oh, Brisbane by 10 goals. Is that better?
That's not much better. No. What about you, Forza?
I think the players are going to be quite angry with themselves after the performance last week, and from what we heard from Tringo about the review, they were pretty embarrassed as well. So they're going to come out with one thing in mind, and that's a good solid win. So I'm saying Port by at least 7 or 8 goals.
Nice, I like that. I'm going to say Hammer to kick 4 and Port by 22 points.
Really?
Yep.
Jeez, I thought you would have picked Brisbane.
Why?
Because we need you to pick Brisbane.
Well, if you're going to do the Macca this week, then I've got to be Rick and pick us by 22 points.
Oh, no dramas. So Nick reckons Port by 60 points. Shall we do the Who Am I, Macca?
Yes. Let's get into it.
Yes?
Let's get into it.
The Who Am I?
We should give the previous clues. Just as a reminder to people. He was born in Who Am I? Born in 1966. Kicked between 200 and 400 goals. Richo followed me. I've won a trophy. And what was the other one? He's a Port Adelaide Life member.
Hall of Famer for Port.
That's it.
And
no, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer, Rick. He's a Life member.
Same thing. That's all that matters. Port Adelaide. And
So quickly,
I
let's
liked
give our Who Am I tip this week.
Yeah, I liked your clue. So I reckon you can say the clue this week, Macca. Drum roll.
He has 2 things in common with Nathan Buckley.
There you go, boys. So first person to call
Look,
through.
we've got a couple of calls already.
Shit.
The phones are going hot here. We've got 3 phone calls already.
Bloody hell. Well,
I don't
first
honestly
one,
don't know what to do with myself here. This is amazing.
Just take one.
Look, Isaac, you're the winner. Let's see.
All right. Is he going to cancel the phone call again?
Isaac, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh,
Hey.
seamless. Isaac,
at that.
how are you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Very good.
Are you a Facebooker or are you a big footy poster?
I'm a big footy.
Nice. And what's your handle?
Mr. Speaker. I've been on a couple of times.
We've spoken to him a couple of weeks ago, Rick.
Oh, did we? Oh, yes, I remember. That's right. Yeah, it was a great chat. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Isaac, Mr. Speaker, you are confident you know who it is.
I'm
Are
certain
you?
that I know who it is.
Are you taking my money?
I am. It's our interchange steward, Paul Rizanico.
Well, Macca, what it is? Did he pronounce that right?
I'm going to say that doesn't apply because of poor pronunciation of the
No,
name.
no. Well, it does because it's my money, and I'm giving this money away.
Woo!
So it has to be. It has to be said. Forza, you're of Italian heritage.
Yeah, he kind of butchered that a bit, eh?
How would you pronounce it?
I need to see how it's spelt.
I thought it was Rosonico.
Come on, boys. It's Rosonico. Paul Rosonico.
No, he doesn't win
Rizonico.
because he didn't say it. What'd you say? What'd you call him, Mr. Speaker?
Rizanico.
No.
I like that. There's a bit of European about that.
Yeah, well, I'm from Poland, so...
There you go.
Right.
That's
I'm like one of those guys that makes a bet for a carton of beer and then goes, "What are you talking about? I didn't make that bet." No, it is Paul Rosonico. Woo! Well done.
Oh, brilliant.
Finally. I was trying to stretch it out as long as I could because I've got to keep coughing up the money for these things. So, well done.
Cheers.
Well, it is a
Sorry
it is
for
a
the
port
pronunciation.
No, you're right, man. I don't even. I'm just guessing myself. So
Steering
you
the
could be
Fair
right.
enough.
But so you get $100 voucher for merchandise at the
That's
club.
very handy.
So, and I reckon those tops, the one that Kane was wearing in his tribute video, are bloody awesome. All the boys are wearing them at the player sponsor night. Get one of those; they look fantastic.
Might have
Yeah.
to look at that.
Where do you? Which area were you? North, south, east, or west?
A couple of minutes south of the city.
Oh, a couple of minutes south of the city.
Yep.
How are we going to do this, Macca?
We could probably do this off air, Rick.
Yeah, send me a PM and I'll work something out.
All right, easy, mate.
I didn't think
Well, we've got
anyone
you,
would
Mr.
guess that.
Speaker. What's your tip this week, mate?
Let's go Port by 8 goals.
Nice.
Good man.
Like that. And your favourite Kane moment?
Oh, probably him flipping off Collingwood.
Yes. Love it.
I like that. Anyway,
Good work,
I should
mate.
stop crashing the party, shouldn't I?
Nah.
All good. Thanks for joining in.
Cheers.
Send me a PM, mate, and we'll work something
do.
out.
Bye.
All right. See ya. Bloody hell, Mac. I'm going to be poor. We've got to get harder.
Good stuff. I
I'm
like
going to
it.
have to squirrel right down to like Alfie's stepbrother or something to make sure it stretches out a little bit longer. No, that's
Hey,
good.
that stretched out quite long. That was a good one. That was a tough one.
That was very
No,
tough.
I thought it was probably too easy. But I mean, the
I
clues were.
would have thought people would have got it a bit earlier, but yeah, there were some interesting clues there. So you did well. That was good.
I'll
And look,
work.
while we are at it, let's should we give the winners of the 2 tickets for the RAA Lounge to join us and watch us pig our face at the Richmond game?
Yes, we shall. And did you write the names down?
All right. first winner is Andre Furstenrecht. Well done, Andre.
How do you say
I
that?
believe that's Andre Furstenrecht.
It's an awesome name.
And the second winner to join us in the RAA Lounge for the Richmond game is Dom Gagliardi.
Dom.
So
Is
big
it Dom or Dom?
Dom, like Cassisi.
And what's the last name?
Gagliardi.
Oh, I've typed it in. So excellent.
work.
How awesome. Jack.
Andre and Dom,
Hopefully,
well done.
Hopefully they can come along.
That's it.
And I'll post that up on the Facebook page after we've finished. And and that should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward. Andre's been on the show as well. So
He has, yep.
it'll be good to have a chat to him. And I guess seems a bit weird me thanking my own business for giving it away, but I guess it is part of the New Vision sponsorship package. So that's my present to you guys for listening
very
in
kind, Rick.
and being part of the show and enjoying it. I hope you guys all have fun with what we do.
That's it. We all appreciate it, mate. So well done there.
Cheer, cheer the black and the white. Honour the magpies day and by night. Live that
Look, let's move on and talk about the SANFL, which is it's the country showdown this week with Port playing the Adelaide Crows at Balaclava Oval. Port won both contests last year by around about 45 points or so, so we lead the win-loss record 2-0 in that one. Crows have been struggling quite a bit with injuries, and there's also questions over their desire to actually win these matches, so should be a bit of an interesting game.
It shall. Do you think we'll keep the trend and another win will get on the board?
I hope so.
It was quite funny at the player sponsor night. They had Jacob Surgeon on having a chat about the game, and Barry was taking the piss out of him because he thought they were going to Clare. And then Barry asked him where Balaclava was, and he tried to make something up, and then went, "I've got no idea."
What do you reckon, Forza?
Well, geez, what can you say? The Crows, their setup is pretty poor. They just pluck players out of the other teams to top up their team, and they have a few injuries. So I guess it really comes down to if we send all the emergencies to Brisbane or we leave a couple of them behind, really. The team gets more and young, so with those two in there, I'd be surprised if we let this one slip, to be honest.
Yeah. I would hope we've got the talent in the side to win this one. And again, hoping for a couple of big games from Johnny Butcher and Mason Shaw up forward. Mitch Harvey, he's been in some pretty consistent form, I guess. He's kicking a couple of goals every week, which is fantastic. And it was good to see Johan Wagner get a few kicks last week and kick the winner as well.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just going to say, where's the Butch out at, boys?
I think he is where he is, which is probably next in line for an AFL spot up forward, but it might be pretty tough to get one, I would say. And he just needs to keep trying, keep working hard, and hopefully it might click.
Yeah, it seems the biggest knock on him at the moment has been work rate in the last couple of weeks. So maybe he's dropping his head a little bit and not doing the second, third efforts as well as he had been at the start of the year. I guess he just has to grind through, and he's certainly, physically superior to the other players at the SANFL level. So he just needs to get his confidence up, and he's one of those players that is so close to being a good player, especially at AFL level, that he just wants just for that last little percentage to click for him, and then it'll all fall into place. But I just don't know if it will.
Well, I just want to get your opinion. I don't know where he's at. I would have hoped that he would have shown a little bit more by now, and I do think it's a bit of a concern where he's at his career. And he seems like a nice guy, and unfortunately, that's not enough, I guess, at the elite level. And you think of the really great players, they'd be dominating at this age, and he's not dominating. A bit like Sam Day at Gold Coast, where everyone's talking about, oh, we should be picking Sam Day, but again, what has he shown either, And I'd really be hoping that he'd be tearing the SANFL competition apart now that he's physically mature and physically fit. But he's just not able to do that.
It just seems that Norwood game has rattled him. You know, he was playing pretty good football, and even in that game, he was doing very well until that bloody goal square kick.
It wasn't good, and it's probably a good call that he hasn't. He has dropped down a peg after that, but hopefully this week we'll see him back and hopefully kick 3 or 4 goals. That would be great.
It's definitely got the ability. The ball was slippery, John. Take it in your stride. Kick straight. Especially when you're...
But what about Andrew Moore? He's another one?
He just needs to come back and make amends for his silly mistake a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully he can he can be best on ground or put in a very good performance and follow that up, and he'll get his chance as well at AFL level. And with Kane coming out of the side, as we spoke about earlier, there's a spot opening up, and maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, Andrew Moore might be for him the one that takes that spot and finally makes it count at AFL level.
Adam Ellishaw has just posted into us that he reckons Westhoff and Schultz were struggling at the same age and they turned out pretty well. I don't know about that. I think both of those players, probably at Butcher's age, would have been approaching, 70 to 100 games? Whereas, been regulars in the AFL sides, whereas Butcher's really struggling to get a gig.
Yeah, look,
Fair?
Butcher's
Unfair?
almost 24, and he's played 24 games at the same age. I think Schultz had done a lot more. There's no doubt about that.
No,
I mean, he
Western-
played he'd almost played 70 or 80 games by that point. So. But look, I mean, it is a fair call. I mean, Schultz started his career as a highly rated first round draft pick, and outside of a couple of games here and there, probably didn't make it count. And I'm sure Richmond fans were tearing their hair out as well at how he was performing at Tigerland. But I don't know. I mean, it's probably last chance saloon for Johnny Butcher this year, and hopefully he can get another shot at AFL level and make it count this time.
Forza? We've lost him?
Oh, no, I'm still here. I'm just thinking it's hard seeing Butcher go anywhere when he is, as Macca said, next in line. We can say it's last chance at all, but Shaw and Harvey haven't really overtaken him at this point, and our recruits are still first year players. So Howard and Palmer are still first year players, and I think is Austin the one that's really been surprising. He's really come on well. Defender.
Austin's playing down back, yeah, but he's been very, very good.
I reckon he could probably convert to a forward if need be, but yeah, so there's definitely potential there. But if you look at right now, we lose a key forward, Butcher's the next cab off the rank. But if Hinckley decides not to play him, then we're gonna stick with Ryder, Westhoff, and Schultz, and that's it.
It's refreshing to hear, Forza, that someone agrees with me that Logan Austin could become a forward and not has to be pigeonholed as a defender, Macca.
Yep.
I have to see his kicking first, but I think there's definitely scope there, especially when you're that young.
Absolutely.
And we're desperate for a forward.
We are desperate for a forward. Is that where we're going with our trading, you think, for another forward?
Well, they're almost impossible to get. Like, if you think about how we got Ryder, that sort of situation, that's never happened before in the AFL on the sort of level that it has. There's only one James Hird, really. So, the odds of us getting a competent key forward through a trade is quite slim, unless we pay crazy money in a free agency deal, which is not likely to happen given our cap. I just can't see it happening in reality.
Jeremy Cameron had me jealous last week.
He's a good player.
He's a very good player. He's an awesome player.
Well, speaking of which, what other games this week interest you guys?
Quite a few.
Yep,
I actually am interested by the Bulldogs and Fremantle.
Yeah, that should be a ripper.
Will the Bulldogs bounce back after their shock loss? Have a bit more of a fresher legs? It's 2 weeks in from their Perth trip, and is the juggernaut of Fremantle going to continue, or are they going to drop a game?
So look, what happens if the Dogs win? Are they the real deal? Can they push for a top 4 spot?
No. I don't think so.
You don't reckon? You still think they might drop down a bit as the year goes on?
I think they're still going to be inconsistent. I think their body's going to wear out, especially because they play a lot on the Etihad surface as well. They're probably going to get a few injuries with the young bodies as well. But I think they've shown that they're on the right path, and Beveridge is obviously a pretty good coach.
Yeah, I have to agree with Rick. I think the Bulldogs Freo game is probably the most interesting game, apart from ours. I reckon Bulldogs are a real smoky for the finals. I reckon they can make the top 8. They might sneak into 7th or 8th. I also rate West Coast a lot higher after watching them live as well. I reckon they're probably another one that can sneak into the finals. If you look at their draw, they're actually going to be sitting top 2 for the next month at least if the games keep going the way they've been going for them. So yeah, it'd be good to see Freo when they finally drop one, because I think when they drop one, they might drop 2 or 3, and that'll be an opportunity to bring them back to the pack.
Yep. I'm going to say Richmond and Collingwood. I reckon that's my pick of the week this week. I think Collingwood will want to win to consolidate their position in the top 4. And we said it was last chance saloon for Johnny Butcher a minute ago, and I think it's almost last chance saloon for Richmond and Damien Hardwick as well. I mean, if they lose this game, you can pretty much kiss finals goodbye, and it's a must-win game for them.
Well, that's why I've tipped them, but I hate tipping Richmond. They're the worst team to tip. They're horrible to tip, and they're probably going to lose. Hardwick's probably going to get sacked, and they're probably another tip I get wrong.
Don't worry, I've gone with you, Forza. I've gone Richmond as well, mate. What about you?
I'm looking forward to the debut of Liam McBean. He kicks a lot of goals in the VFL, so very keen to see how he goes.
Liam McBean.
It's a great name.
It is a good name.
And he's going to be a very good player.
Yes. Well, I'm with you. I reckon that's going to be a captivating. And I've gone the same way as you, Forza. I've picked Richmond. But that doesn't say much because, I'm not very good at the tips, am I, Macca?
No, you're horrendous.
And it looks like St. Chris on Big Footy's not happy with Mr. Speaker winning the $100 either.
Just missed out. Bad luck, Chris. You're actually third in line, Chris. So you had Alex Hale that just missed out as well. There was about 2 seconds in it.
Be interesting to know if Alex was going to choose Mr. Rosonico if he had a different case.
And thanks, Mr. Speaker. I did mispronunciate pronunciation, so there you go. I did it on purpose. Well, look, we might as well call it a quits here, boys, and get ready for the weekend.
Oh, and bloody hell, do you see what Mr. Speaker's given away my research material? I'm going to have to go to something else. He's ripped it all from Wiki.
Oh, there
bloody
you go.
Hell. I'm going to have to do something else instead now.
You
but yes,
think up something different.
Why is it always on me, Macca? Hard work. What about you? When are you going to do something?
Well, what? Aside from editing and producing and uploading and researching and...
Yeah, Mac, I lift your game, mate.
I know.
Right.
I feel great shame.
I get the point. Fine.
Boys, let's hope it's a successful weekend for Port Adelaide, and we can start the Kane celebration, the Scythe Buttercorn celebration pretty early.
Yes,
Yes.
let's hope so. And I have to thank you, Macca, for not asking me to be on the review of the Brisbane game in case we lose. So I'm glad I'm doing the preview.
That's all right.
That's going to be pretty morbid if that occurs.
We'll make it fun. That's all right.
Who's coming on?
Don't know yet.
If we lose, make sure it's someone very light-hearted.
Yep. Will do. Easy.
Have a good night. Go the
No
power.
worries. Can't appear.
Power.
Punched away by Michael at ground level. Here's a chance for Stevens. Stevens goes high and long towards the goal square. 2-on-2, Burgoyne almost brought it down. Here's James. He's had a marvellous game. He puts him in front. Brilliant goal. What a classic.